With a current client, we're in the process of hiring additional people, and naturally the question came up, what are some key ideas around talent identification, attraction, and hiring practices? And so this is a question many company leaders ask themselves, so I thought I'd record a little video on that. First things first, how do I identify if somebody has talent? Well, that's kind of like asking how long is a piece of elastic. It really depends on what do you need them to do, in which context, do they have the required skills, so hard skills needed, and if they do, the things that they need to learn on the job, can they learn that stuff, right? So the first thing we do is we look at whatever our need is, saying we need somebody to do uh, marketing, for example, specifically in German-speaking countries. Well, naturally, they need to speak German. Naturally, they need to have some experience with marketing, but how much kind of depends on the context. Are we asking them just to do a little bit of social media interaction, a little bit of writing with some people? What is it that we want them to do? Or are we planning on very sophisticated, digitally savvy repurposing campaigns, all sorts of other stuff, right? So the complexity of the task kind of determines how much of that skill do they need to have. So that's one way of looking at it, putting it in the context of where they need to go. Sounds obvious. Not a lot of people do. They just put up a job ad and then they respond to what comes in rather than doing the homework first. The second thing is hiring, right? So in my mind, the best way to hire is to spend a lot of time with the candidate. And for me, it starts with asking them to spend some time with us, but showing us that we respect that time. So everybody gets a response, everybody gets feedback. The ones that we choose to take through an interview process, we probably ask to do video interviews so that we can see a little bit of their personality. We invite them in, of course, to speak with us individually, as a group. Sometimes we go to lunch with them. Sometimes we do other things with them. And then there's one last thing that I like to do, which is I typically call my core key 3 candidates at some random time. It may be sort of latish in the evening. It may be kind of early in the morning when they might be middle in their commute. It may be on the weekend. And I just call and ask and hear how they're doing and what they thought of the process so far, and get a little bit of feel of how they respond when somebody who potentially could hire them calls them. And at the end of all this, we of course have to make a decision. I've hired north of 200 people in my career. My initial feeling about somebody is rarely wrong, but I use the process to make sure that other people get a perspective and that my feeling about this person pans out. Because trusting our gut is important, but it can also be dangerous because we tend to fall in love with what we know and people that are like us, and sometimes we need something that's a little bit different. So we're down to the final 2 or 3 candidates. We do the final checks and balances, and then comes the how do we actually give them an offer that they'll respond to in a way that we want them to. And that, my friends, is going to be a video for another time. So this was a little bit about talent identification, talent hiring and attraction, and some strategies around that. I hope you enjoyed it. I'd be happy to talk more about talent and hiring. Just let me know in the comments where you see this or shoot me a message, and we'll do another video in the future. Thank you.